I I don't really know how to do this episode. I what I do know is that this will be different from my normal content. It's going to be very personal, and there may be some triggers, but bear with me because it is important that I get this out and that I acknowledge my grandson Oliver. And I want to share his story a little bit. I want to talk about grief. And most importantly, I want to share what I've learned about supporting grieving parents because, in my experience, not a lot of people know what to say or do. My daughter Jenna and her fiance Christian, they have a 2-year old, almost 3, my grandson Mace. Jenna was pregnant with Oliver, baby Oliver. He was due in March, but she's had some complications along the way. She's had to have high risk care because they suspected that she had a cyst. They were watching her closely. The doctors were getting more concerned. The larger Oliver got, the larger the cyst got, the more the possibility of the blockage of blood flow could happen. So the doctors said at 32 weeks they wanted to bring Jenna in for round the clock observation to make sure that nothing happens. So Jenna was planning on doing that. She spent her weekend getting everything ready for Ollie, getting everything set up around the house, preparing everyone as she does, and making sure everything is good to go for Christian and Mason, everyone else, and then herself. And then on Monday, she spent a lovely mommy and Mason day. They did some shopping, little things to make him feel special since it was going to be his last day as, an only kid with them at home because Jenna was set to go to the hospital the next day for full-time care. And unfortunately, that evening, Jenna realized that something just didn't feel right. And she tried for movement, as mothers know to do, little things. You give the baby a little push, you drink some caffeine, do some different things. And she tried those and nothing. So we urged her to go to the doctor. She waited for her fiance Christian to come home. We met them at the emergency room, took Mason, and while she was there, they determined that he did not have heartbeat. The text messages I got from her were heartbreaking. They were heartbreaking. But they were released from the emergency room, and she was set to come back the next day to be induced. Because Oliver was almost 32 weeks, was going to deliver him naturally, sleeping. So Monday, she prepared to go to the hospital and leave the hospital without a baby. It was solemn. It was heartbreaking, devastating. You never know what can happen. On Tuesday, um, Jenna and Christian went to the hospital. She was induced. Mace was with us. And then baby Oliver was born on January 29th at 7:30. He was perfect. He was perfect. Long toes, long fingers. Looked like his big brother. He was perfect. Excuse me. This is going to be hard. I should have brought the tissues with me, huh? Okay. Um, on on Wednesday, Jenna and Christian requested that we bring Mason to the hospital. And that may have been the most difficult part. It was heartbreaking to listen to the excitement of this tiny little, almost 3-year-old to meet his little brother. And knowing what the other side of that meant. But I'm glad that we were chosen. I'm glad that Jen and Christian trust us enough to be there in a situation like that. It was hard, and I don't want to get into detail. It's not really my story to share, but it was difficult and it was beautiful. And Oliver was beautiful. He had this perfect little button nose, dark hair. We got to go to the hospital twice and see him. I got to hold him. Charlie and I got to spend time with him. And it's earth-shattering and heartbreaking to know the dreams and the hopes. And I'm an ugly crier, so this is not good. Oliver was so loved. And the point is, he always will be. Jenna said, don't stop taking pictures. And we didn't. We didn't. The pictures are hard to look at. Some of them. Because you just want to see something different. Keep hoping that in one of them, his little eyes will be open. It is the hardest thing that I've ever gone through, hands down. Hands down, the most difficult thing. And I thought losing my mom to COVID was hard. And I think now I might be able to talk about that one episode without crying. It was just important for me to get this out because it's been a cloud of grief. Nobody talks about the side of grief where you're watching your child lose their child. Like, we all know that losing a child is just, it's not comprehensible. Like, we don't get it. But watching your child go through it is so hard. It's so hard. The different layers of grief for everyone involved. Anger, rage, helplessness. You're helpless, but you're grieving for your grandchild and your child at the same time. It's hard to wrap that into anything, to try and figure out how to even solve it. How do you even put that into an equation to figure out where you go and what you do? And then you're grieving for your grandchild. You're grieving for the loss of Ollie, the beautiful little soul, 4 pounds, 1 ounce. But then you're grieving for your child and her family and your other grandson who lost his brother. That shit doesn't get talked about. And you want to feel happiness. You know, you want to find some joy for them in something, but you can't, and you're helpless again. And your heart is broken, but theirs is broken even more. So it breaks your heart. It's definitely a side of grief that people don't talk about. And it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation to be in. It's a tough situation to be on the other side of. What do you say? What do you do? Do you reach out? Do you not? People mean well, but sometimes their words do more harm than good, or their lack of words do more harm than good. A lot of times people don't know what to say. There's no comfort in this. There's no comfort. There's no how are you? It's like a silly question, right? How are you? Well, of course I know how you are. You're destroyed. You're broken. I don't know. I don't know what's comforting. I don't even know if there is anything that could be comforting right now, other than trying to find some good in some small things. It's the hardest thing I've ever been through. Like, you want to try to continue to live because there's still life around you, but it's so hard. It's so hard. So I haven't learned how to get past that. Any advice is greatly appreciated, of course. Please drop a comment. I would love to hear words of encouragement, what has helped you or what helped you in the past. Or maybe you're feeling the same way that I do, and you can just say, I feel seen, and that's okay. That'd probably make me feel better than anything. No, scratch that. Okay. I have learned some things that I do want to share. Just little things to support grieving parents along the way, because it is hard. And sometimes you don't know how to navigate it. Number one, always say their child's name. Always use their name. Oliver existed. He was here. And saying his name keeps his memory alive. I learned that from a fellow content creator on Threads. And her account is actually called Say His Name. You should check her out. Grieving support for grieving parents, grandparents, whatever. What helps and what doesn't, I'm still trying to figure it out. But avoid at least statements. At least this, at least that, at least this. It doesn't help. And honestly, it's probably going to do more harm in the long run. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just sit with them in their pain, which is really hard to say nothing, especially for me. But sometimes the best thing you can do for them. There it is. Your presence really matters more than any perfect words you could say. There's no fixing it, right? I'm a fixer. I love to fix things. But you can't fix this. You don't need to. Showing up and listening and letting them grieve however they want to and need to is all they need. And finally, grief does not have an expiration date. Jenna and Christian will never move on from Oliver. There's no moving on from this. There's no normal and moving on. They just learn to go on carrying him with them in a different way. Not physically, but he is still with them every single day. He is still with all of us every single day. And just remembering that there's no expiration date to that. It doesn't end. My best friend and business partner, Jennifer, told me about her mother-in-law who lost her daughter 22 years ago. 22 years ago. And she still goes to her grave every holiday, every birthday, every celebration, and celebrates with her. 22 years. So just remember that there's no expiration date. Because again, he's part of us now. Oliver has had a big impact on all of us. He will always be remembered. He will always be loved. He'll always be our grandbaby. He'll always be Jenna and Christian's son. He'll always be Mason's brother. They are no longer a 3-person family. They are a 4-person family. And I will do my very best as Oliver's Nana to make sure that he is never forgotten and that we honor him in the way that Christian and Jenna want him to be honored. I hope that you could take something from this. And if nothing else, I just hope that this episode reminds you to hold your people so close. Because life is so fragile. And love is everything. That is today's episode of Random Candace Thoughts. I just wanted to be real and honest because that's what I'm about. And that's what my podcast is about. And this is my life. And I couldn't come on and talk or film an episode without the first one being about Oliver. If you know someone going through this, please don't be afraid to say their child's name. Please don't shy away from them because you don't know what to say. Just show up. Just show up. Just be there when they need you to be there, whenever they need you to be there. That's what grieving parents need most. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Random Candace Thoughts. I'm Candace, and if you are a grieving parent or a grieving grandparent or sibling, just know you're not alone. Your child matters, and their name matters, and you're not alone.